Say hi. Hola guys, hola guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Roxanne. If it's your first time here, then welcome. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about some of my favorite atmospheric reads that I think would lend themselves really nicely to be read around this time of year. When I mean atmospheric read, I mean something that really transports you to the setting, and my favorite type is when it's a little bit spooky, tense, mysterious. That kind of fall, autumn, Halloween-y feel is my favorite, and I felt that these books really had that and showcased that, and so I thought I would share those with you guys in case you wanted to read them for this time of year. So the first is Last Night in Montreal by Emily St. John Mandel. Now you guys may know her for Station 11, which is one of my favorite books of all time, but she also wrote this one, which is this really mysterious book where we know very little about our main character, who's this very mysterious woman who has a lot of secrets in her background and who moves a lot. And one day she wakes up and just sort of disappears from the life of the man that she had been living with. And so he almost a little bit obsessively tries everything to try and find her and find out more about her and just sort of make sure that she's okay. And so there's this constant sort of mystery surrounding her, and it just feels very much like this sort of dark, creepy picture is what the story feels like, and I really enjoyed it. Then we have Tana French's In the Woods. This is the first in the Dublin Murder Squad series, and this is, it's like the woods is a really prevalent sort of theme and present setting of the story, and that alone really makes it really mysterious and creepy. There's also the mystery murder component, and then there's a lot of mysteries within the lives of our main characters themselves. These characters are so dynamic, so complex. The mystery I thought was amazing, and the writing, Tana French's writing, was absolutely amazing. I loved it so much, and again, it kept me sort of gripping the edge of my seat, really wanting to know what happened. There's so much that's unknown about what's going on, both in this current mystery and also other ones that have happened in the lives of our main characters, that keep you really engaged. And I have the second one in the series, and I already cannot wait to read it. I love it so much. Then, of course, we talk a lot about Sarah Waters when we're talking about these sort of atmospheric, cold type of books. The first of hers that I read was actually The Paying Guest, which I don't think is the one that most people talk about, but it was the first that I encountered, the first that I bought and read, and I think thus far it's the one that I think about the most, and maybe my favorite, and it might be because it was the first that I read. And she really is magnificent at doing this sort of kind of modern gothic-y style novels, many of which are centered queer women, which is really awesome. And this is about a historical fiction set in the aftermath of World War I, where a woman and her mother invite guests to sleep in, to sort of stay and live in their house and pay some rent as a means to pay for their estate and make a living. And so this couple moves in, and our story takes off from there. And again, you get that mysterious feeling that sort of creeps up on you, and it completely envelops you while you're reading it. And she really is just masterful at doing that with all of her books, and I love it so much. And again, really the cover I think does a great job of conveying that dark feeling that you get when you're reading it. Then I don't think I could do this video and not talk about Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, not talk about Daphne du Maurier at all. She really is the sort of queen of this type of writing and this type of book and this type of environment and atmosphere that I'm talking about. And Rebecca is, I think, her most beloved, the one that I love the most, but granted, I've only read 2 of hers so far. But this one uses a lot of unique ways of conveying this atmosphere. One of which is the fact that our main character is never named. Rebecca isn't our narrator's name. It is the name of this ever-present being in the story and in the lives of our characters, and everything from the home to the helpers and the staff of the home, and our main character's mysterious background and name, and our main male character's mysterious background, all come together to make for an absolutely magnificent novel that is one of my favorites of all time, that is so mysterious. And there is a scene that takes place by a window in this book that I think about to this day, because I was listening to it on audiobook and I just stopped in my car and I was like, holy crapola. So that one, if you don't know, it's about this woman who kind of all of a sudden gets involved with this gentleman who invites her to his home and sort of begins to court her. And when she gets there, she constantly has to fight against the sort of ever-present reminder of Rebecca, his ex-wife, and we don't know what happened to her, and that's all part of the mystery of the novel and what keeps you coming back and keeps you so gripped to the story, and I love it very much. Then we have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. Shirley Jackson is another one of these sort of classic individuals that would always be found in these types of lists. And it is definitely more creepy and disturbing than scary, but it was done really well. It's kind of one of these things where you're reading the story and you think something and you think certain things about your characters and about maybe what has happened and what their motivations are and how we got to where we are. So we're learning about these 2 sisters who live in this house, and the younger sister of the 2 runs the errands, and there's something that the town has against her, and you don't really know quite yet. Maybe you're starting to make a few guesses, but you don't know. And then the more you find out, the more disturbing it becomes. And when you're done with it, you just sit there perplexed and disturbed. And that, I think, makes it great for this type of list and for this time of year. More. One is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This is a sort of secret history type plot that is set in a sort of prestigious private school, and our main group of characters are a group of thespians who are sort of studying to become Shakespeare experts. One of them dies. You don't know who. You possibly are told who did it, but you don't know how or why. And the more you read, the further as you read, you go further back in the story and find out more about this group of characters and what brings them together and what the dynamic between them is. And it gets real. This is one of my favorite endings to a novel so far that I've read, and it is a great mystery for this time of year, I think. Then if you are a lover of books about books like I am, then I recommend The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This is another one that it's one of my favorite audiobooks that I have ever listened to. It is one of my favorite stories about stories and stories about books, and it is really just a story about the obsession that we can develop over stories and books that we come to absolutely devour and love. And I think all of us book readers and book lovers can really relate to that on some level. And this takes place in Barcelona, and it just feels, even when it's not, and you know that the story is not taking place during this time, it always feels like you're reading through a fog, like you're reading about a dark, foggy, mysterious night is what it feels like. And I loved it. It is one of my favorite books. Like I said, it's one of my favorite audiobooks, and it is a book that will give you new characters to love above all, and to despise in the level that you despise, like Umbridge from Harry Potter. So those are, yep, that is my list for some atmospheric, creepy, mysterious, tense books that I absolutely loved, that left me disturbed, that left me contemplating, that left me just kind of like this. So I hope you enjoyed this list. Let me know what some of your favorites are. Obviously there are a lot more books that I could talk about that are very atmospheric in one way or another, but these are the ones that I thought would really, like I said, lend themselves well to this time of year. I might do another one of these for the winter, something that just feels a lot more frigid and cold than these do. As always, thank you for watching and for listening. I love you guys very much. Hello. Say bye. Hey. Say bye.